Welcome everyone to the Thunder Buddies podcast, your source for all things Thunder basketball, courtesy of the Oklahoman. My name is Justin Martinez, and today I'm joined once again by our columnist Joe Mussatto. Joe, how you doing today, man?
I'm good, Justin. I'm just thinking about the road trip you've been on. You go from the glamour market of Miami to beautiful Cleveland.
It's quite a turnaround. It's been a fun trip though. We had the Houston trip, and actually it's worked out really well for me. I've got family in Houston, so that was great. Got to stay with them. Got a college buddy of mine, a very close friend in Miami, so that was good also. Don't know anybody in Cleveland, so I'm here at a Hilton in downtown Cleveland getting ready for the game, which will be at 1:30 Central Time today, Monday, for OKC, as OKC looks to bounce back from a 122 to 120 road loss to Miami. Uh, Joe, this is obviously a big game in the sense that, a first look at a team that a lot of people thought might be a finals opponent for OKC this season. Maybe not. We'll see with the way they are playing. But also, it's going to be a first look without Jalen Williams, who suffered a right hamstring strain in OKC's loss to Miami. At first, it was listed as a right thigh soreness when he exited the game midway through the second quarter. It now has been changed to a hamstring strain. No timeline yet for J Dub, but just what are your initial reactions if this does cause him to miss an extended period of time? What are some of the domino effects of missing out on a guy like that?
Yeah, that was one of those injuries where you don't have to have a medical degree to know what happened. He immediately, pulls up limp and grabs the back of his thigh, and you just knew it was a hamstring. But I I was watching from home and rewound the play, several times, and it's like it doesn't look like much. I mean, it's a really unremarkable sequence of events, but unfortunate nonetheless for J Dub, who obviously it's an ill-timed injury for a number of reasons. First and foremost, he's a guy that you're trying to work back in the first place. We've all talked about him recovering from the wrist injury, kind of finding his rhythm, getting a shot going. Obviously, his hamstring isn't going to affect that. He's still going to be able to get shots up and stuff, but still, it's a real bummer from him for him because he's dealt with a lot this year, dealt with a lot of criticism. Um, I think was playing more or less pretty good basketball, and then this happens, and we have no idea how long he's going to be out.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned how long it might be out. I've seen some reports that it's like he's out indefinitely. That's not technically what is correct. OKC has not gone out and said he's out indefinitely. They just haven't given a timeline. So for us, it's indefinite in the sense that we don't know. But maybe OKC knows and it just hasn't announced anything. So not out indefinitely, but for sure out for this game against Cleveland, and we'll see moving forward how much time he does miss. But yeah, like you mentioned, obviously he's been working back from that wrist injury, the torn ligament in his right shooting wrist that required two surgeries. And he was playing some good basketball, like his last seven full games, not including the Miami one because he exited midway through it. But his last seven full games before this, he was averaging 18 points, 6.6 assists, shooting 50.5% from the field, 20% from deep. I mean, the lack of range of motion there in his wrist, I just don't think he has the real full range to be able to shoot threes. But he was doing a really good job of getting downhill. He actually ranked 11th in the NBA in drives per game during that stretch of 14.6, was shooting 54.9% in those situations. So I thought he was really starting to find a rhythm, starting to understand, sort of the capabilities, the limits of his wrist. He was doing a good job of getting downhill, getting his mid-range game going. And just an unfortunate setback for a guy who obviously missed the first 19 games of the season, has missed a few on top of that. But in terms of like his impact, one of the main things is, another scoring option is now gone for OKC. One of the big talking points entering this season was Chet Holmgren is going to have to step up while Dub is out, and we saw him do that. Actually, in Dub's first 19 games when he was out, Chet was averaging 17.9 points, 7.9 rebounds. He shot 54.7% from the field. We talked about him a bunch as like a breakout candidate, and that really kind of helping him get that sort of role. And then you got guys like AJ Mitchell as well. He was able to run the second unit more, have a real, breakout start to his season. He was averaging 15.9 points, during those first 19 games. Those to me are like two of the guys that really stick out as guys who'll have to step up in order to fill some of that production.
Yeah, I just don't think Chet can do it night to night. You know, he can't be like your go-to like number two option. Basically, first off, he shoulders so much of the load on the defensive end, and second, it's just hard to rely on a big for that much offense. But I think you nailed it with AJ Mitchell. He's been a godsend for this Thunder team, and is going to be more useful than ever now. Again, with Jalen Williams out, um, AJ Mitchell's emergence coincided with Dub's absence from that initial wrist injury, working back from that, and I think clearly AJ Mitchell's been a good player, sharing the floor with Jalen Williams or since Jalen Williams has been back. But I do think we got to see like the full AJ Mitchell experience when Dub was out, and we're going to see that again. He's just been remarkable. I think he should be in conversation for most improved player, for sixth man, whatever you want to give the guy. He's been phenomenal. And then I think it's a big opportunity for Aaron Wiggins. It's been sort of a bumpy year for Wiggs. He's actually shot the ball pretty well from three. 2 point percentage, last time I looked, was way down from his career average. And, a few games ago, Mark Daigneault, when he was asked about starting Wiggins, it's almost like he wanted to give him a boost, basically. Like, this is the time of year when Wiggs gets going, wants to inject some more offense into that starting lineup. And Aaron Wiggins is a guy that can go get you 15 points a night if he's playing big minutes off the bench. So I think it's going to be a big opportunity for him as well.
Yeah, without a doubt. And also, Wiggins has a little bit more size than maybe, starting like an AJ Mitchell, Cason Wallace. And I think also he's done a really good job of rounding out his game too. Like he definitely has started to, found a little bit of some momentum in terms of scoring, but I think he's shown his ability to be a playmaker at times, even if it's just making the right extra pass. He's had some really timely offensive rebounds, which OKC needs right now with Isaiah Hartenstein also out. We'll talk about that in a second. And then he's at a point now where he's not like a glaring weakness defensively. He's able to get some timely steals. He can contest some shots, defend up. Even I feel like he's getting more comfortable doing that as well as he's kind of been thrust into those situations. So yeah, I think Wiggins is a great guy to point out. Also a guy like Kenrich Williams. His role really just varies on a night to night basis. But this seems like a situation where, especially this game against Cleveland. Where obviously they've got two bigs there and Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, and just some future matchups as well, where like you could use a guy like Kenrich Williams, who I think is what 6'6", 6'7", and would be able to defend up, defend down as well. We've seen him step up when his number is called. That game against Memphis really sticks out, where he had however much it was a season high, like 20 or 21 off the bench. So he's another guy that really sticks out to me. Good old Kenrich Williams, always there whenever you need him, pretty much.
I love Ken Hustle wearing that baggy undershirt, mismatched colors, whatever it may be. Kenrich Williams, yeah, no, he's the ultimate plug and play guy. He's not going to be, in this conversation, the one that you're going to like rely on heavily, but he's good to have around. I mean, he can play multiple positions. He gives you some more size. He can knock down open three pointers. Um, He's not going to get to the free throw line. But yeah, he's certainly useful. And I think this is, there's always so much talk about the redundancy of like the Lou Dort, Alex Caruso, Cason Wallace trio, just these like defense first guards, and it's like, there's too much redundancy. I think that's ridiculous because you watch the playoffs and it's like that's what won the Thunder the championship basically is having those uh you know, guys like that defensively. But when Dub is out and the offense is sort of starved for creation, it does limit your options because, you know, you don't really want Dort to be that guy. Caruso can't be that guy, and neither can Cason Wallace. I think, um, going into the season, I thought Kaysen was maybe a breakout candidate as far as doing more off the bounce, maybe, being more of an initiator, more of a point guard. And he's still young. Maybe that's in there somewhere, but clearly he's not ready for that right now.
Yeah, I mean Wiggins, Mitchell, those seems to be the guys who would have a bigger say in that sort of role. Also another guy like Jay Will is now back in the mix, so that will give them some more size as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, right now they definitely are needing that with Isaiah Hartenstein also out. He's about to miss his 12th straight game today against Cleveland with a nagging right solar strain, which is in his calf, causing the miss. I believe it was 6 straight games last month, and then briefly returned and re-injured it. Obviously, that's a tricky, injury. Your calf. Don't really want to mess with that too much. So, an official timeline hasn't been given for Hardenstein yet, but he has been traveling with the team for this road trip. One more game against Milwaukee after this, and he has been also getting some workouts after practice. We've seen as well, just some light stretching, some one-on-one work. So, seems like he is nearing his return, and that would definitely come at an ideal time for OKC because it really has struggled on the glass during his absence. OKC actually ranks last in opponent offensive rebounds per game at 14.1 and just total opponent rebounds in general at 49 per game during this 12-game absence, or I guess 11-game since the 12th hasn't been played yet. So that stretch when Hardenstein's been out, they've been needing more size. Jay Will, I think we just mentioned him, really sticks out as one of the guys who can help with that. He recently came back from a 13-game absence with right heel bursitis, right heel bursitis. What have you seen out of him in his return? Obviously, we know the energy that he provides, but just having another big man presence there, I think, has really been big for them.
You're really nailing these medical terms. Bursitis,
Yeah.
soleus.
Bursitis is like the big term this year because Shea had the elbow one as well. I've seen some other players around the league too. So yeah, it's hard to keep track of all these injuries, but that is inflammation, by the way, for those who don't know. So that's what he was dealing with. But yeah, what have you seen out of Jay Will?
No, I'm not done yet, Justin. So soleus is the calf, right?
Yes, yeah,
Are we just afraid to say calf strain because that's been like the two worst words in the NBA lexicon right now? All
probably
right.
yes.
So we just say soleus. No one knows what the heck that is.
Yeah, yeah.
Hartenstein, is that who you asked
On
about?
Jay Will, what
Oh,
he's provided since his return.
Jay Will. Well, yeah, I'll talk about both those guys. Jay Will, I mean, from day one since he came back, has really brought, his patented uh energy, but man, his defense has really impressed me. I mean, it was, his rookie year. I've talked about this a lot, but Mark Daigneault called him a ground bound rim protector, which Mark meant as a compliment, but it's kind of a backhanded compliment. It was like this guy can't challenge anyone at the rim. So he's got this gimmick where he just takes a ton of charges. And that was so much fun. I love tracking all the J Will charges. He led the league by a mile, but it really was a crutch. And now he's challenging guys vertically at the rim. He's getting some blocks. He's really improved this athleticism. He lost some weight. And I think all of that has really helped him. You just look at this is no shot at Brandon Carlson, but replacing his minutes with Jay Wills has really helped the defense. That's an obvious point. Um, but as for Hartenstein, man, like you mentioned, the rebounding that yeah, that's been bad, and he's one of the best rebounders in the NBA, so obviously he would help that. But I look at the offensive end is where they're really missing him as well. He's such a connective piece. He's got a great two-man game with guys like Isaiah Joe, with Aaron Wiggins. Obviously he's got the floater. You saw like the big to big passing between him and Chet Holmgren. Like you could bank on, two or three easy lobs, automatic points per game. And I think this stretch without him has like, been the, not that you have to convince anyone that Isaiah Hartenstein is an impactful player, but just watch the Thunder without him. Like things are a lot harder, really on both ends of the floor. But it's good that Jay Will is back because like they sorely needed someone behind Chet. But that's why it's good to have all three of these guys in a perfect world.
Yeah, I think you mentioned Hart's offense is a good point as well. It seems like I don't know how many instances he has where you get that little give and go. They give him the ball at the top of the arc. Uh, Teammate runs around him on a screen and then cuts to the rim, and he
Yeah.
just has that timing as like finding the cutting man. Just a really skilled passer, especially at his size. But yeah, also like you said, that I think we're really seeing the value of a guy like Hardenstein, and it was kind of assumed by a lot of people heading into this season that this was going to be his last year with the team. You know, he's got a OKC has a team option on him for next year at 28.5 million. We know obviously that the big three is about to get paid for OKC. They're going to be taking up about 75% of OKC's salary cap next season as Chet and J Dub's new contracts kick in. Shay's will kick in soon after that as well. So the big question was, you know, are they going to be able to keep a guy like Hartenstein? It's looking more and more like it should be a priority for OKC. So that is something to consider heading into the summer. But also one thing to consider the rest of the season is, will OKC make a move at the trade deadline? Is this something that now with the J Dub injury, not knowing how long that'll sideline him, is there even more pressure for OKC to make a move? The deadline being on February 5th, so coming up pretty quick here. Joe, what are sort of your thoughts? How much did the J Dub injury change your thoughts, if at all? How are you feeling just heading into this trade deadline?
I've long thought that they should stand pat, and I continue to think that with one giant caveat. We have no idea how serious the Dub injury might be. The Thunder knows a lot more than infinitely more, exponentially more than we do on that injury. So like, if they, you know, if it's more serious than thought, maybe you do like need to be more aggressive, but like I can't imagine. I don't want to guess, but I mean, I I would assume he's going to be ready come playoff time, Justin. I think that's like a fair
Yeah,
assumption. Um, so if that's true, I just would not be motivated to make a move. I mean, the the lineup is so in flux right now too, with like guys getting injured, that throwing an additional unknown into that, I think can do more harm than good. Gordon Hayward. Um, so I I I think that, listen, I don't want to pick on our guy Oos, but I think the most likely scenario still is for Jang to be traded for whatever, top 59 protected second round pick if you must. But and then they promote a Carlson, or they bring in someone that is going to make, the minimum, or a small piece like that. I don't expect, oh man, now Dub's hurt, we got to go get whoever. I don't
Michael
even
Porter Jr., Trey Murphy, they've been thrown around a lot by Thunder fans.
right. I don't think that's going to happen. Both are terrific players. I Michael Porter Jr., for as fantastic as he's been this year, could not be a less thundery player and guy. So I'll just say right now, you can scratch that off the list. Trey Murphy is an excellent player. I think he'd be a great fit. I just don't think they're trying to make a move that big, and I still think they know, like, I don't think they really need to. I wouldn't panic here now on January 19th, or in early February as the deadline comes around. But I'm really curious what you think about this.
Yeah, I feel the same way in the sense that, like we mentioned, the amount of money that OKC is about to have tied up in its big three, it's pretty clear that the plan moving forward in order to sustain all of this success is you retain the big three, you have a rotating door of role players. Ideally, you get a guy like Hardenstein to come back on a smaller deal. Same for a guy like Lou Dort, who also OKC has a team option on. Kenrich Williams, like those are guys you maybe want to bring back on smaller deals. But other than that, you're banking on, some of these younger guys ultimately coming up and becoming more and more, valuable contributors. To go out and sort of throw that timeline off with a guy like Trey Murphy or Michael Porter Jr., who obviously you're going to have to pay. I just don't see them doing that. I think Ooze, like you said, is the most likely trade candidate last year of his rookie deal, making about $6.7 million. I could see them maybe going out and making a trade for, like you said, just a veteran, maybe like a backup, like big, just an insurance option, in case they need some more size. If they don't want to just directly like promote a guy like Brandon Carlson. If that's the case, I could see guys like let's say like Phoenix's Nick Richards is an option that comes to mind. Possibly he's making $5 million expiring contract. Kelly Olynyk, you got the Team Canada ties with Shea and Lou. Obviously, he's also on an expiring deal, 13.4 million. That would work straight up with Ooze. Maybe San Antonio doesn't want to sell, obviously, so that's maybe not very likely. But you got like Sacramento's like Drew Eubanks comes to mind, another just veteran big that I think they could get for the low $2.3 million he's making an expiring deal. Like those are the sorts of little things I could see them doing, or just promoting a guy like Brandon Carlson because I do think at the end of the day they're going to need some more insurance and comes in terms of size this postseason. Um, Even if Dub comes back or doesn't come back in time for that, like that's going to be a thing that they're going to need. We've seen that as soon as Hardenstein goes down, how much of a drop off it is on the glass for them, how much pressure it puts on Chet Holmgren defensively, and obviously they need him to also step up offensively as well. So that would be the way that I would see it playing out. Um, trade dues, get somebody on an expiring deal you're not going to have to pay next season, pretty much.
I like all of those names you mentioned, and I'm sure some people listening are like, what? But like that's way more likely. It's a hell of a lot more likely than Michael Porter Jr. ever walking into the Thunder's practice facility. Shout out MPJ. But yeah, guys like Eubanks, Richards, I mean, those are just big bodies who give you some sort of insurance policy where it's like maybe it's break glass in case of emergency. Um, but it at least gives you a little more heft. And I know, like, I thought going into the season it was almost a foregone conclusion. Like, yeah, Oos is probably going to get moved. Um, Maybe they're probably going to promote Carlson, but like his minutes have been. I think you probably want a more reliable option there, and just like a bigger, more hefty option. Um, just in case like Hartenstein's not right or God forbid Chet's not right. So yeah, I like all of those names.
Yeah, and also I've seen people saying like maybe OKC should go get a shooter instead. Malik Monk has been a very popular name like on Thunder, Reddit, and just Twitter in general. I don't see him fitting in terms of defensively. Does not strike me as a Thunder guy, and also just like
Nope.
the shooting, as much as it has been an issue for OKC as of late, that was the case when it won a championship last season. Like it's never won games banking on being able to knock down threes. It's I mean Shea has spoken about it recently too. To like they can win games when they don't shoot very well. Like they've always been a streaky, inconsistent 3-point shooting team. The defense is what they rely on. That toughness, that physicality, those are things I think they should prioritize. Having some insurance on this trade deadline as opposed to just having another shooter, I would think.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's funny because like last year, I feel like we were talking about them needing another ball handler, and now it's like okay, they need another big, and some people are like they need another shooter. It's just like the deepest roster, most talented roster
Yeah.
in the NBA. Like we're still trying to plug every last hole, and like this is what it is. I mean, I'm sure these are conversations that Sam Presti and his front office are having right now, probably at a higher level, perhaps than we are. Um, but I just like remember thinking like Jose Alvarado, like, he'd be a, really nice fit for this team. And that's when AJ Mitchell was hurt. But now, like, I think, I don't know, maybe they're set in that. And I was, talking about some shooters like Garrison Matthews or, heck, Corey Kispert. The Hawks don't need Kispert and Luke Kennard, do they?
There you go.
Um, Neither of those guys can play defense, but eh, I don't know. I kind of like going the big route.
Yeah, I do as well. And also, I think it's worth pointing out too that like obviously the goal for OKC is to win a championship this season. But if for some reason, whether it's injuries or whatever the case may be, it doesn't happen this year, it's still not the end of the world. This team is trying to set itself up to compete for championships for years to come. So to sort of overreact to a J-Dub injury or this year specifically and go and get somebody who you're going to have to pay long term and kind of throws off the books, like it's not worth the potential championships that you can win in the future with your current big three, which obviously, bringing in someone else on a big contract would probably disrupt your ability to keep all of those guys. Like, I think that's also something that's worth pointing out too. Is like it's not the end of the world if you don't win this championship. They're obviously going to be gunning for it, but they're trying to focus on long term success as well, which is something to point out. I think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, nothing this organization does is short-sighted, and it's also like you don't want to say like, you know, they're not desperate or something because yeah, I mean they're like desperate in their own way, but they don't have to make, you know, like moves that Milwaukee might be thinking right now, like anything to just keep this going to appease Giannis. Like the Thunder has none of those external factors to consider. They could probably stand pat, do absolutely nothing, and enter the postseason being the favorites to win the NBA title. And Denver's gotten better. I don't want to like undermine that. Like that's legit. San Antonio's legit. But like the problems we're quote unquote problems we're talking about now, it's like any other fan base listens to this, they'd be like, what are you guys worried about?
First world problems, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. Well, Joe, I think that's pretty much all that we have here. Is I got to get ready for this big game against the Cleveland Cavaliers, game 3 of a 4-game road trip for OKC. After this will be a game against Milwaukee before it heads back home. Joe, before we get out of here, any parting words of wisdom for the listeners?
I do have parting
Okay.
words of wisdom.
Okay. I'm listening.
Listen, everyone, read Justin's work, follow him on the social medias. He's doing an awesome job covering this team. He's going to places like Cleveland for you.
Yeah.
I actually don't mind Cleveland. I think it gets a bad rap. Also, I'm sitting here in Oklahoma City, so what I don't have room to talk down about Cleveland. But yeah, Justin, keep crushing it, and you're doing a great job chronicling this Thunder team that was kind of like boring at the beginning of the year, just rolling through everybody. Nothing to really talk about. Now we've got some stuff boiling. So yeah, keep at it, man.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you for finding time as always, and appreciate everybody for listening. Make sure to stick around for more Thunder coverage, more weekly Thunder Buddies podcast. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see y'all next time.